Ricardo, stay in the game. Guto once more. Oh, what a point this is. Oh, Ricardo.
Hey, what about the video?
What video?
The one about motivation.
I'll do it later.
How about you do it now, okay?
Fine. Whatever, man. When I asked my readers about what's holding them back, a lot of folks mentioned that it was hard to stay motivated during rehab. They said that consistency with the rehab exercises was a big problem, and yeah, it's easy to get distracted with life, especially if you have a family or stress at work. And right now, motivation may even be at an all-time low. I mean, everything is closed, it's not safe to meet people, and you're supposed to stay home pretty much the whole time. And now this German guy is asking you to do boring rehab exercises. I mean, surely he can't be serious. But I am serious, and please don't call me Shirley. So here are 3 potential solutions for low motivation. Okay, so you've probably heard the news sometime back that social media companies spend millions researching how to make their websites as addictive as possible. So this whole place has been engineered to be a trap for your attention and for my attention, so that more ads can be shoved down our throats. And back when I first heard about this, my reaction was, yeah, I mean, of course they do that, but I can stop whenever I want. And the irony is that if you've ever talked to an addict, you know that's one of the very first things they will say. And here's why that matters for you, even if you don't use any social media. The human brain is wired to seek out pleasure, and that pleasure can come from many different sources, like eating something sweet, salty, or fatty, or checking the news, browsing social media, shopping, even if you have no intention of buying anything, watching TV, doing drugs like alcohol, cigarettes, or worse, of course, and yes, even sports, especially team sports. And then we repeat behaviors that make us feel good, and the more pleasure they give us, the more we're drawn to them. And at this point, you may be wondering what all this has to do with motivation, and the answer is simple. Everything. Because the same circuits in our brains that can drive addictive behavior also control our motivation to do other things. So if the brain knows that it can easily get a nice dose of pleasure by checking Instagram or by making you eat that chocolate bar, it will prefer to do that over other activities, especially those that require high effort. But of course, it gets even worse, because eventually the brain will build up a tolerance to pleasure, so to speak, and it will take stronger and stronger doses of the pleasure activities to achieve the same effect. So now you're not just browsing Instagram for 2 or 3 minutes, but maybe for 10 to 15 minutes, and then it's on to the next site and on to the next. And just like that, your motivation to do something hard has died completely, because with the brain's increased tolerance to pleasure, these hard work activities now seem utterly unrewarding and unattractive. They're just pain and to be avoided. The good news? We can use this to our advantage by doing the exact opposite. By intentionally avoiding things that are fun to lower the brain's tolerance to pleasure, thus making low pleasure activities seem fun again. And I know this sounds crazy, but the idea behind it is quite simple. Going back to our list, we can desensitize the brain by eating bland food, not checking the news or social media, not watching TV, and just making a day as boring and not fun as possible. The general advice is to limit these high pleasure activities to certain time slots, which can be later in the day, like after your work is done, or if you really want to push the envelope, you could only do them once per week. Just don't make the mistake I made thinking that you can recharge yourself by browsing Reddit or Instagram, because that is going to be counterproductive. You could, for example, also make it a sport to try and do as many not fun activities as you can during a given day. So that's solution number 1. I call it embrace the suck. Now, what do you say we take this back inside to talk about solutions 2 and 3? Solution 2 is to take care of your neurotransmitters and your hormones. That's the chemical cocktail that determines how we perceive the world and that makes us feel energetic, tired, hungry, angry, and pretty much everything in between. And what do you know? The best way to do this is by eating a balanced diet, by avoiding stimulants like coffee, and by getting ample sleep. And I know that's earth-shattering insight, but I thought it was still useful to repeat this because even if you once knew the true importance of this, it's easy to forget and to fall into detrimental habits because you want to have some fun. Again, speaking from experience. So that's solution number 2. Give your body the means to make you feel motivated. The best solution for low motivation to do rehab exercises may just be this. Pick the most important exercise for your particular problem and only do that. So if you have patellar tendinitis, for example, you would do some tendon strengthening exercise like, say, a wall sit, a Spanish squat, or a slow squat, for example. Just do that one exercise. And that's it. The results of this approach will of course not be perfect, but because you know the workout only takes like 5 minutes, the resistance you'll feel towards getting started will be low. And if you then feel like doing more, you can continue with the second most important exercise. But the point is that you do not have to feel obligated to commit to a full 60 or maybe even 90-minute workout. The magic of this is that you will most likely end up doing more than just one exercise. But for this approach to work, you will need to know what works best for a particular knee injury. So I've added my research summaries about patellar tendinitis and IT band syndrome into the video description below. And later this year, I will also add one for patellofemoral pain syndrome. If you want to learn more about motivation, check out this video. This is also where I got the inspiration for solution number 1 we talked about earlier. And if you want to dive even deeper into the topic, I recommend the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. It explains why we do what we do and how we can change it. That's it for today, and I will see you next time. Now check out my friends over here. They don't have a problem with motivation. Okay, I'll show myself out.